It has been a while since humanity lost its direction or its true direction. It lost its vision of its own inner evolution. It missed it. It couldn't see what more it can be. So the state of more's is simply because the state of more that they can be is missing. And this is, you see it in humanity. Humanity is a good example. So we started moving outward. I'm not saying it's an error to move outward. We create great convenience. We create great technology. But all of it just sustains survival. It comforts our survival. Anything more has been missing. And even those who speak about the more, most often we wake up to realize they are hallucinating. It is another way they delude themselves of the fact that they have lost the more. So if you really look at life, you really look at everything around, the direction we are moving is only earthly. The essential movement of the being is not present. Even though the instinct, I can be more, is there, but it's lost. All we have is this world. All I can imagine in the world is survival. And then once you get frightened, all you can imagine is power, holding. And that's all an action of fear. Incredible fear. And what has to be understood is the brain has collapsed. It cannot imagine anything more within, it moves outward. In moving outward, it lives in a collapsed state of itself. I cannot wake up to realize there is more of me to celebrate. That's the fact. To see there is more here is the greatest calamity. Then I have to exaggerate senses. Then I have to only live to avoid fear. Fear is inevitable when the outward movement is the only thing there is. You are so desensitized to this, you cannot see it. You cannot connect to it. The gravity of this that exists as me cannot be seen. So please start by first contemplating, looking, the direction humanity is moving. I am not saying you shouldn't move outward. I am saying that's not only the movement that is available. Even when somebody says he's moving inward, he's just looking for power. He's just moving towards not living in fear. And fear is present because the inward is not present. So this has to be understood. That is why almost everything men do has a kind of failure, not for the world, for himself. He does something, but it doesn't give him, it only helps him to survive at most. It only keeps the fear that is inevitable postponed. To again to wake up, there is nothing there. The state of destruction that most participate, anything they touch, they destroy in one form or another. Why? It has to be destroyed because the inward is not there. And in a way, we are trying to destroy the world, hoping that will lead us within. The destruction of the outward is hoping that the grip of the outward will be loosened, then I'll find something inward. But the vision of the inward is not there. So you must understand, it is a bit of a schizophrenic activity. The first vision really must be born, not theoretically, but actually there is something more here. There is something present, I am. An actual state. If not only power is there, if not only greed is there, if not only control is there, if not only lust is there, and all of it are nothing but the expression of the outward. It's nothing to do with inward. When there is inward, there is no lust, there is no anger, there is nothing. There is just you in your grandness, living into your grandness. So you have to grasp it this way. It is a calamity of humanity that there is more to him than mere survival has been robbed out of him, that vision has not been transferred. And that vision is not by birth, somehow, from my speculation, from my observation. It's not by birth. It is by an initiation, by others who have entered it. It has been passed on, but somehow that has been broken. So we begin first by saying this reality of me becoming more is not necessarily available. I speculate. I think there must be. But to actually be seated in it as a living reality, one starts living rather differently. One lives in the world, one makes the world comfortable, but there is a reason to make this world comfortable so one can comfortably move within. The womb wombs something. If not, it is a womb that doesn't womb anything. That's the pointlessness. Just the fear of death, fear of survival is only thing that is propelling. And at this point of time for humanity, the inward is a speculation. And inward is a hallucination. There's nothing there. Just fear, anger, violent. That is all there. And I'm trying to make you understand that the fear, the violent is present because there is nothing inward. You understand? It is a futile movement. You survive for what? When one for oneself wake up, there is something here, not just an organism that is wrestling with fear, wrestling for comfort, wrestling for power. There is something here. Love happens, not just for oneself. Love never just happens for oneself. Love happens for all. But right now, the critical understanding, the way the world is, because the reality there is something more here, is not present. At most, you are a mind. A mind is nothing but the presence of the absence of the more of you. When the more of you is present, the mind cannot catch hold of you. We must be very careful when we begin this journey. It cannot be another hallucination. It cannot be another hallucination. It can be. It can become another hallucination. The effort we are undertaking is the actual confrontation. There is something here. And that is confronted in looking at another too, that there is something there. We reduce human being. We reduce it. The key is, if there is you present, there is creation. There is love living. If there is no you present, all there can be eventually is a movement of destruction because one does not see the point. It must be great pain. The richer you are, the more affluent you are, the more powerful you are, the deeper the pain must be. Because that becomes the proof. Only that is. You understand? The more it is there, the proof that you are not, only that is. You are loved only for that, not because you are. And by that action, one turns destructive. Now, how do we begin into this? How do we come to this? First, to confront that I have been denied. And next, to confront how I deny everything. That I don't see beyond your action there is something there. That we act in reduction. We act in reducing something for only functionality. The subjectivity of that element is never paid attention to. That you are a being is missed. The Hindus for years have put the hand together. It is simply not to do the sin to reduce you only to utility. That there is something there. Again I repeat, the experience of the absence of that there is you is the madness of the world. It is the destruction we participate no matter where we go, no matter where we inhabit, we destroy it. And I'm explaining the unconscious need to destroy because there is nothing there. It must be an incredible pain. We begin by first acknowledging this. And one of the key reasons why this happened is because of the effort. We were asked to do something in a way to deny us. That's what effort is sometimes. Real effort, like Gregory mentioned, leads to discipline. There's something else. I'm talking about an effort to force oneself. Is actually an action to deny oneself. For a fact, a rape is an action to deny you. And we have been rewarded for denying ourselves. We have been rewarded for forsaking ourselves. We have been taught that when you deny you, that's when you would be loved and so on. So we have denied. And out of the denial, what happened? Collapse. Collapse is the destruction. It becomes the two breath we live by. Which means I'm watching with every action, how have I denied me and another? Remember this. An action to oneself, an action to another is one and the same. You deny you, you actually deny another. You deny another, you actually deny you. So one and the same. Thus one wakes up to become a participant. We went into this yesterday. A participant is an action in the acknowledgement of one. Is that too? It's very rare you find somebody to participate. Come. The way Master lived, come. Be part. Participate. Play a role. It is very hard for people to participate. Because to participate, you must acknowledge you are there. To participate, I must acknowledge you are there too. I must acknowledge I am and you are. So in participation, I acknowledge I am. Without participation, I don't acknowledge I am, only that is. So the actual remedy for the situation humanity is in is the waking to participate to that which one is ready, and one becomes ready to participate. That becomes two sides of the same coin. One lives in integrity. The rest is you are not there. There's just a mind, a noise, an absence, a violent an anger, a gripping, and a destruction. That's all that is there. Thus, the word respect becomes incredibly important here. To respect means to know there is more than just a physical body there. There is more than just a functionality there. To respect is not just another to oneself, to know there is something here as living, but the difficulty of acknowledging it. That we have lived in such denial of it. Even now, it feels easier to deny than to actually look upon somebody and to acknowledge they are. So I acknowledge I am. It's easier to deny. Most people act in a way you deny everything. That's how you act. You just can't see it. It's an act of disrespect. Even the fool's view is a view. It's a view. It's his view. Just because the view is an error, it's not an excuse to delete that person. So the healing becomes in the deepest acknowledgement of everything. The problem is you elevate yourself. You tell a story, you are this, that, and the other. It's just a mind. The sign of somebody in this acknowledgement, there is reverence and creation. Now, why does life fall apart? Why does things break down? Why? Many reasons, but I tell you one of the key reasons. You are not there. And when you are not there, inevitably it has to be destroyed. Because that's the only way to confess to what is there. You must know the experience of not being there makes one hallucinate many things. If not, one cannot survive. So we dedicate today as a day of acknowledging. It doesn't mean you have to accept something, just acknowledging that you are here, the other is here. If not, you will simply live out the pain of being absent and the victimization that happened by you being absent. If you can truly experience it in the body, actually see, sense that experience of being absent, acknowledging when you have been absent, when you have made another absent, when absence is lived and what has happened out of it. To live in presence is to live in participating with what one is ready and what is one ready to participate with. You are. And in that there is a deep sense of creation and unfoldment. The Hindus found, not just the Hindus, most of the East, found a living method. They say, if you want to be a Buddha, if you want to attain to Shiva, acknowledge him. The prayer, one of the fundamental is acknowledging he is. In acknowledging he is, you are. In acknowledging you are, he is. And it won't be long for you to recognize you are him, he is you, or in any way you come to it. It's the simplest thing. It is actually the shifting from being absent and suffering by the absence to the glory of being present. But for that, effort has to die. Effort in the sense of the violation of oneself, the forcing of oneself has to go. And by that, the experience of the collapse of the denial of oneself goes. In that exists a participant, a disciple actually. We ask the question, why life is not an upbeat? Why life is not unfolding more beautifully every day? Why isn't the horizon expanding? Why isn't the grandness of what is here realized and re-realized and re-realized? Why isn't that mad dance come out of the ecstasy of being is lived on this earth? It is simply because there is only one movement outward. Everything is about the world. You understand? The gift of this place, the gift you have received by this place, is that there is a space that you can turn inward to acknowledge this is there too. The word turning inward is not really accurate. It's simply acknowledging there is something here. Simply acknowledging I exist, I am, you are. And to be among others who are exercising this is a great gift. And very easy you can realize, come to realize and re-realize that you are. Now for most, what is the movement that is present? Just the chaotic, the chaos. Struggle against the experience of being absent. And trying to make the world everything and failing at every corner. In that one is simply in a spiral of destruction. One just doesn't grow old, one decays. By right, one grows up. It's something else. Growing old is something else. Growing up is something else. Maturing in beauty is something else. One simply decays. There's nothing left. Now I'm stating, see whether you can connect to that experience of the absence of you. And see whether they can shock you into waking. Just that sight, that confession is the necessary shock for the system to come into being. A deeply acknowledged person, a person who acknowledges all, love becomes the natural consequence. And when love is present, creation is present, then the movement of all that one touches rises to be what it can be. Now for most are in denial, they are absent. They are denying they are absent. They are lying. And ever so often the gift of collapse happens. And that gift of collapse is for one to actually see one is absent. All there is the world. And that is the necessity. That is the absolute need to shock oneself to come back. But the cause of it is very beautiful. We were rewarded for forcing. We were rewarded for denying ourselves. And we were loved when we collapse. This is the lie. In the East, there is a tradition. If somebody decides to become a monk or a sadhu or a tavasi, he is sent on a 7-year, approximately 3 to 7 years pilgrimage. He will walk north to south or south to north. And his exercise is rather simple. Acknowledge everyone. Acknowledge everyone. Just acknowledge. You are, I am, you are, I am. He doesn't even bother about I am, just you are, you are. And in some sect they said everyone is Shiva or everyone is Brahma. And in that 7 years, when he comes back, he has attained to acknowledging he is there. That's the revolution. That's the healing. Today we begin. I'll go into this some more. Simply to acknowledge the truth of being absent is whether you did it or it's part of the world you live in. It is what is there. And by that it makes the world the only thing that is there. And all the madness that comes is because there is no more you. And allow this shock to wake you.